Well, Brandon Lake, Dallas Jenkins, thank you so much for joining us. How are y'all doing?
Good. Thanks for
Doing
having us on.
awesome. Thank you.
Well, it's great to have you both here on CBN Digital and Faithwire to talk about yet another chosen Christmas special, which Dallas, I can't believe it's already time for another one of these Christmas specials. But this one is unique in that it's a combination of some of what you've done in the past, but also features a new score with new music. Talk a bit about how this came together.
Yeah, so we did our first Christmas special several years ago. It featured The Shepherd, which is the short film I did for my church on my friend's farm in Illinois, 20 minutes from my house, just intended to be this little thing. And it ended up blowing up and became the kind of the launch of The Chosen. So it wasn't just the birth of Christ, it was the birth of The Chosen. And then several years later, once The Chosen was going, we did another Christmas film slash episode, which was The Messengers. This is the birth of Christ from the perspective of Mary and Joseph. Now, they were two completely different things, but we, of course, tried, the story is the same. Well, we did them both as Christmas specials. The second one is when Brandon came onto the scene. We tried to add music and performances and make it a big deal. And they went so well that this year we decided to take those two short films and combine them into one, not back to back, but literally like edit them together, interspersing. And we didn't know if it would work because they were done years apart. And it turned out so beautifully. We were crying. We thought this is really special. So let's do that. We brought back the quote unquote greatest hits of the first two Christmas specials. He was one of them. And then, of course, when you can get Andrea Bocelli to do something, he's a fan of the show. He came on board and did Oh Holy Night in Italy just for this special. So it's a, what's the word I like to use? Cavalcade of joy.
Yes.
For this one. And it demands to be on the big screen. So we just thought, let's put together kind of a Christmas special spectacular of our greatest hits and also make it sure it feels new. And so, yeah, December 12th in theaters is going to be big.
And Brandon, you've been part of The Chosen now for a while. Like Dallas said, you were involved in one of the specials in the past. Your music has been interwoven into a lot of what The Chosen has done. You just released a music video for "Tear Off the Roof," which of course features a lot of scenes from The Chosen. You've said in past interviews that the Chosen has been really pivotal and important in your life. Talk about your collaboration with Dallas and why this has been so important to you.
Well, it was important to me because The Chosen changed my life. I remember watching season 1, episode 1, and at the very end of the episode, Jesus comes onto the scene for the first time. And I remember me and my wife watching it, about to turn in for the night. And when he enters the scene, it was as if Jesus walked into our bedroom. Like filled my house, like the glory of God showed up in such a crazy way through the TV. And I remember literally being speechless for probably 10 minutes, felt like an hour, didn't say a thing. And it was like bringing the word from black and white into full color. And so I knew I got this invitation to come out and do a song for the Christmas special. And so I told him, well, I don't have a Christmas song. Dallas was like, we want to do gratitude. I was like, okay, that's great. And I love that you said, we're bringing back all the hits. I did not think it was a hit at the time.
Yeah.
And so I owe a lot to The Chosen. We did the song, Christmas special comes out, and then gratitude just went to the top of the charts. And God's just been breathing on it ever since. And I get to tour this song and sing it with thousands of people. And it's just really cool that The Chosen had such a huge part to play. And really one of the main worship songs that the nation's singing now. So.
Brandon, talk a little bit about writing gratitude and how The Chosen really played a part, not only in its success, but even in the beginning stages of putting the song together.
Well, basically this was a song on my record that it wasn't a featured track. It wasn't a single. And really we were just actually talking a few minutes ago about just how this song had ministered to Dallas and his family. And it was a song that you guys felt like you needed in that season. It's like, it's one of those songs like, God, a lot of us come to a point in life where we go, I really don't have anything to offer you. Maybe I can just sneak out a hallelujah. It's about all I've got, Lord. And then this bridge in the song says like, come on, my soul, like, don't you get shy on me. Like, get up and praise the Lord. It's like David did in the Bible. It's encouraging our soul, your own soul, to worship. And I didn't think it was necessarily a really special song or a big song, but sometimes God brings other people into your life that see things that you don't yourself. And that is the story of this song. Dallas saw something in this song, said, I want this to be a part of the Christmas special. And even Jesus responded amazingly to it. And Jonathan hit me up and was like, bro, this was a a standout, set apart moment in the special. And so we're excited for it to be a part of this Christmas special this year as well.
Dallas, I think so often, and for good reason, we talk about how The Chosen has impacted so many people's lives, but it's also impacting the cast, the crew. It's impacting you in ways the Lord is ministering to you through songs like Gratitude, through the work that you're doing. Talk a little bit about that, about how from day one to the point you're at now, The Chosen has been challenging, but also really encouraging to you in your journey with the Lord.
Absolutely. I mean, I was at a place in my career and my life where I had nothing. I had just come off a huge failure, and I was willing to give it all up. And I told God, I'm willing to not do any more of this if that's what you want. And I think that's when he said, now you're ready for The Chosen. If The Chosen would have come into my life 10 years ago, I don't think I'd be sitting here because I wouldn't have been able to handle it. And now I got to the point where I didn't care about the success. I didn't care about awards. I didn't care about anything other than doing what he wanted. And when you talk about the challenges of it, when I'm sitting alone in my house and there's a blank screen, it doesn't care about how successful the previous season was. I have to start over again and work with a blank screen and try to accurately and in a God-honoring way capture the stories of his son. Well, to do that, I have to be right with him. And I have to do what the purpose of the show is, which is to lead people to know and love Jesus more. When you know and love Jesus more, what happens? You want to worship. So when I'm writing, I'm often, and that's how I reached out to Brandon, was like that song Gratitude was ministering to me, which was helping the show. Every time we connect, we're fangirling each other because it's like, your song made the show better. He's like, your show made the song better. So I think because that's happening internally, it's also happening externally. I think when we've talked about this, when God blesses something that you're part of and you're ministered to by it, it's a good indication it might minister to others as well. But it has to start first with you being right right with him as you write.
So good.
And Dallas, speaking of collaborations, I think the Andrea Bocelli and even with his son too is quite a huge collaboration. Talk about how that partnership came about. You said he was a fan of the show or is a fan of the show.
Yeah. Well, so the cool thing about the show and about, again, his music, I mean, I was just in Brazil a month and a half ago on a Chosen tour. We're in a church. They start singing his song in Portuguese. My wife and I are wrecked. But I bring that up to say, when God has something to say, it transcends cultural barriers, it transcends language barriers. And so in Italy, the show has really grown. And we've got some people there that are advocates for the show, and they happen to know Andrea, and they mentioned that he was a fan. And before they were finished with the sentence, we said, "Can you please connect us somehow?" And he said, "Oh, sure." And long story short, we got some help from people here in Texas and TBN and all that who had worked with him. And ultimately, he said, yeah, he's willing to do "Oh Holy Night" for this Christmas special. And they filmed a music video in Italy, he and his son. And yeah, he's got a pretty good voice. It worked out pretty well. I offered to harmonize. He graciously turned me down. But
you gotta hear it in surround sound, though. That's a voice you gotta hear of the big speakers.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why it's in theaters, is because between him and Andrea and all this, you've got to see this on the big screen with the surround sound and also with people that you can cry with.
Brandon, you are Dallas, you are super busy. Brandon, you are just as busy. You just released a new album. You're about to go on tour. Talk about some of that and about how you have just kind of, Gratitude is a song that really put you on a map for so many people. Now you've had the chance to release a solo album and are going on tour. Just talk about what you've seen the Lord do through that process of kind of bringing your music to a place where so many people can enjoy it and turn to the Lord because of it.
Yeah, I'm still, racking my brain, God, why me? And, but like we were talking about, when you bring some loaves and fishes, like he does the multiplication. And I've been a songwriter just because I love the art of songwriting, and God's allowed me to put some records together and has brought the right people around me at the right time to help, get that out there to the world. And so I've done a few tours in the past few years, and it's like my favorite moment is just seeing, taking the hand of the congregation and connecting it to the heart of the Lord. And it's through these songs like Gratitude, you see everyone's attention go up, and so I just, that's my calling, and I won't stop doing it until he says I need to stop. And so I've got this new record out, Coat of Many Colors. And just collaborated with The Chosen on a song called Tear Off the Roof. Talks about that story where they lower the friend through the roof to get them to Jesus where he's healed. And also the woman with the issue of blood. It's woven through the music video. And so we actually are going out on tour spring of 2024. Tickets are available actually December 1st is when they go on sale. It's called the Tear Off the Roof Tour. And that's what I want to do. I want to come to Orlando. I want to come to Toronto. We're going to all these different cities, and we want to tear off the roof with worship and see something that spills over outside of the arena and would actually maybe even cause cities to change and get a better picture of who this amazing Jesus is.
You know, right before we started recording this interview, I was watching the Tear Off the Roof music video, and I think the way that you have woven those two stories together from The Chosen is so powerful. Like watching it, I was just like, oh my gosh, I've got chills watching this music video, because I think it connects the lyrics to the actual true biblical story in a way that without the scenes from The Chosen, it might not have done it, at least not in such a profound way.
Right.
So I think that collaboration between both of you has been really cool, and something, Dallas, that we're looking forward to, of course, is the next season of The Chosen, which season 4 right around the corner. Talk a little bit about this new season, how it's going to be different from past seasons, what you're most excited about.
Yeah. So in season 3, the theme was, "Come to me, you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." And Jesus was giving rest to so many people who were weary and heavy laden. Season 4, Jesus is weary and heavy laden. It's something that we don't often notice in the Gospels, is that as he approached his death, as he got closer and closer to Jerusalem, you see his sadness. He wept for Lazarus. He wept over the city of Jerusalem. He was angry at the religious leaders. He was frustrated with his closest friends, his disciples, not because he was going to die, but because he had to. He had to, because they weren't getting it. They thought it was all about being a military leader. They thought they were going to overcome the oppression. And he was all about their hearts and about surrendering to him and his Father. And so we really dive into that in this season. And when you see Jesus saddened, when you see him wounded, I think, well, hopefully it should break your heart for him. And that's ultimately what he wants. He wants your heart broken. And so I think this is by far our most spiritually mature season. We explore depths more than we have before. So there's, of course, some joy. There's, of course, some victory and miracles. But this is when it starts to get real.
Yeah, you know, I want to ask too how you've seen the audience grow and evolve with the show as the show has progressed from season 1 to season 4. You've had new people come into the show as characters, but also you have had new audience members come into the show. There are people I've talked to who are not believers who are watching the show and enjoying it, people who are kind of curious about faith and wanting to know more about the Lord. It's really a great ministry opportunity, as well as being super entertaining. So talk about that weight and that realization of, I've got to make sure that what I'm presenting is biblically accurate, because there are people who are curious about faith who are watching this.
Yeah, so you've got stories like Brandon's, where he and his wife, he's been raised in the church, he knows the stories, but the show for him was kind of a battery recharge. It was a revival in many ways. But then there's, like you said, there's those audiences who have never seen something like this, or maybe have heard but don't know. One of my favorite moments of the last couple of years when it comes to the success of the show, because I don't really care about the numbers, I don't care about the success. That said, when I saw that it was on the top 10 on Amazon, right next to Cocaine Bear, that was like this is what it's all about, a Jesus show.
Let's go, good.
Like you turn on Amazon and you see a Jesus show, and it's right next to Cocaine Bear. And so now we're seeing more than ever people who never would have heard about it, never would have considered it, seeing it on the top 10 for 2 months. Again, I couldn't care less about the top 10. I do care about it being found in places that you wouldn't normally see a story of the Son of God. And so that's been cool to see, and running into people who go, I didn't even know that Jesus was Jewish. We're hearing that from Israel, and it's starting to grow in Israel, a place that oftentimes misses Jesus, even though it's where he was. So that's the kind of stuff that you go, all right, I have got to, as you said, when I get down to the blank page, which doesn't care about the success of the previous season, I've got to get myself right. I've got to make sure that I am taking seriously the plausible portrayal of Jesus and his Father, knowing that I'm not the Bible, I'm not God, Jonathan isn't Jesus. We're just here to try to accurately portray it, and it's a heavy weight, but I also believe it's clear he's doing something. So I just need to show up.
Yeah, I think it's such an encouragement, Brandon, to see your music topping charts where people who might not otherwise be exposed to faith themes are seeing it. I think that's such an encouragement. I think it's great to, when I open up my Peacock or Netflix app, to see The Chosen, like you said, Dallas right there. I think it's very evident that God is certainly moving in our culture, and The Chosen and your music, Brandon, have been such a huge part of that. So thank you both for taking some time to talk to us, and we're looking forward to this Christmas special with The Chosen.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.